We have several major disconnects as the problem of global governance. For example, we have several major problem areas like nuclear proliferation, terrorism, climate change, pandemics, etc., which are collective action problems, but they emerge at a faster pace than our ability to establish new institutions to deal with them. That's one problem. The second problem is the disconnect between the distribution of decision-making authority in international organizations and the distribution of economic, political, and military power in the real world. A third problem is the fact that there is a concentration of decision-making authority in the intergovernmental institutions, but increasingly NGOs and civil society and other actors have become influential actors and participants in global governance. Another problem is that most of the pressing global problems, or most of the pressing challenges, are global in scope, global in origin, and require global multilateral solutions to address them. But the policy authority for addressing them is still vested in states, and the capacity to mobilize resources coercively to tackle these is still at the state level. If you think of all this, it poses a question of how do we manage to address some of these issues, and what is the best institutional response in terms of global governance mechanisms to address them. The two paradigmatic institutions that we've had until a couple of years ago are the G8, in terms of a small, compact size, informal meetings of heads of government and heads of state directly, and the United Nations, which is at the other end, 192 member states, which derives its legitimacy from its universal membership. But the very fact of universality and 192 member states makes it a terribly inefficient body for making collective decisions and for enforcing collective decisions. And that's where you get a new institution like the G20, which in a sense tries to combine the best of small, compact size for efficient decision making, but a representative enough body to be globally legitimated. At the same time, the G20 is not the G200. There's still the odd 180 countries that are not part of the G20. And therefore, even the G20 has to operate as a network rather than as a directorate, consult and cultivate with the other countries that are not represented in the G20, so that their voice is carried into the room and heard across the G20 table, and their interests are reflected in the G20 collective decisions. That then is the model of global governance that I think we're going to look for, a body that is small enough and yet representative enough, and therefore the best crossover point between efficiency, legitimacy, and authority, and working in consultation with the other countries that are not represented.